Hey, do you like coffee? Do you like gourmet coffee? Do you like really amazing gourmet coffee that's a total steal and just happens to be based on a culinary podcast? Well, look no further. The Coarse Ground Podcast has teamed up with the Mr. G Coffee Company to create the perfect custom blend. Dark as the logo itself with hints of caramel, sea salt, and dark chocolate, it is luxury in a cup at an incredible price. Be sure to check out their site today, MrGCoffee.com, and order some now.
Hey folks, this is G Nguyen from Breakup Dawn Restaurant and Berlin's Fabra. You listening to Shawn Rosler of the Coarse Grind Podcast. Booyah!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 91. We're in the 90s with you as always, host creator Shawn Rosler. How's everyone doing this evening? Again, we are in the 90s. We've made it. We're like that old great-grandfather that, you're hoping doesn't go, but if they go, it's not too surprising. But we're in the 90s anyway. So it's truly homestretch time to the next live event. But that in no way means we're going to take it easy coming down the homestretch. In the words of the immortal Clark J.W. Griswold, we've got a full 5-alarm podcast emergency over here, and I knew as soon as we spoke recently just how amazingly we could kick off the 90s. The show's about page for our guest tonight is painfully simple. It minimalistically reads that our guests have a lot to say about the littlest of things. And while true, just having caught some of their audio this evening, these two have not only a lot to say about the littlest of things, but are hilarious as well as insightful saying it, without giving too much away and really without droning on too much about them. Because let's be fair, once we leave the gate open, this ride's got no brakes. I've had one of these fine gentlemen on the show before, and let's just say we shared a lot, including a hometown. Their vibe on Mindless Chatter on Facebook is infectious. Their wit sharp, razor sharp, and the overall air quite simply fun. And to me, that not only makes for a perfect show, but a perfect pair of guests to have on the show. Fortunately for me, these two rock stars have found time to sit down, check into a hotel with me, and dish, see what I did there, on 2018 and all the culinary favorites it's brought them. And I'll be jumping in with mine. Should prove amazing, but then again, I'm biased, so let's go, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between our guests this evening, the hosts of Mindless Chatter, Brian Balthazar and Loren Ruch. How's it going, gentlemen?
Hey, great. What an introduction. My favorite part, which was dead on, is we have a lot to say about very little.
I love that, though.
That could not be more true.
It's so honest, though.
We talk a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, just catching what I did, I caught your Tanya Harding impression this evening, and it was impressive. And not only was the Tanya Harding impressive, but the Nancy Kerrigan response, why me? It was brilliant.
Yeah. This is our day-to-day. We, just so people understand, we are not life partners. We are just co-workers that happen to just talk occasionally. No, that's nice. We just banter back and forth day after day. Yeah.
I absolutely adore it. And folks, if you're looking for something, to listen to check out, to watch live as they were this evening, man, Mindless Chatter on Facebook. Where else can they find you?
Only on Facebook.
Only on Facebook. I like that.
Yeah.
Only on Facebook.
The show is only on Facebook. We really are in need of some expansion, but our social handles are on Twitter, Instagram. We're everywhere else. As people, Shawn, as people. But not as a show. And you really have to go to Mindless Chatter or go to our respective handles, Loren Ruch, R-U-C-H, or Brian Balthazar, common spelling.
Oh, shit, it's going to be one of those kind of evenings. All right, so in preparation for this evening, the respective hosts of Mindless Chatter and the host of the Coarse Ground Podcast have been in digital contact via the Book of Face, and we've kind of come up with a different format because I think the goal tonight, gang, is to look at 2018 and minus the political ouchery, which has been rampant throughout. I think 2018 has had some pretty good food-isms, food happenings, and I think that's a great place to start. And, in full disclosure, in the spirit of full disclosure, Brian and Loren definitely have perhaps, shall we say, a more fertile field for such expeditions. My answers will likely become, kind of third place in every question we answer here. But again, we're coming from different areas. And looking at 2018, I think there's some cool categories that we can look at from a food perspective and, identify maybe some of our favorites from that year. So without further ado, let's start with Brian. Brian, talk to me about 2018 favorite fancy hoity-toity food spot, and go.
Okay. Whenever I live in New York City, basically, and when it's time after work is over, the conversation always is, what's for dinner? Are we going to cook? Are we going to go expensive hoity-toity, or are we going to go cheap and cheerful? Cheap and cheerful is harder to find in New York.
Sure.
But when you want to go hoity-toity, I have a few places. Technically Jean Georges, which is up in Columbus Circle, which is like, I would say the hoitiest of the toity, if that's an expression, is so delicious. I actually think that's more of like a Sunday brunch kind of place to go when you actually want to dress up. It's a bit of a scene. The food is really just amazing. It's really high end, but so well thought out. And Jean Georges is the chef.
Sure.
But if it's an evening, Jean Georges also has a restaurant called ABCV, which is in ABC Carpet and Home. There's a restaurant there that's just vegetarian, and he makes this portobello mushroom chicken breast.
Oh.
There's no chicken in it, obviously.
Right.
A vegetarian restaurant. And he batter fries it, and it's so delicious that you forget that you're eating mushroom, except for the fact that it probably tastes better than chicken. It is so delicious. And another one that actually Loren and I both, by coincidence, ate at a restaurant called Pierre. Yeah, one day apart of each other. Both ate at this French restaurant called Pierre Le Pain, and it's a little expensive, but it's definitely like, by comparison to New York, it's still a little bit expensive, but the food is amazing. And my favorite thing there was the fricassee aux champignons, which is basically just mushrooms flambéed with cognac, a soft white bread, and a wine sauce, and a white sauce. I'm sorry. And it was just unbelievable. And they have a delicious duck breast. They have a delicious roasted chicken for two. Yes. They also do these hard-boiled eggs that are prepared in a very complicated way I can't explain. They weren't available the night that I was there, so that was a downer. But I will go back. It's just three amazing places, I guess, that I've just named in New York that are great for hoity-toity.
Yeah, definitely three great places, and this is exactly why, living in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, I'm going to be in third place pretty much the whole evening, and I'm okay with that. Loren, toss it over to you.
Good food is good food.
Yeah, well, exactly, and I do have some mentions. But Loren, over to you. I know there was mention of Osteria Mozza.
Have you been there yet in Los Angeles,
I have not recently.
Oh my God.
I think once in my life, actually.
Oh my God, you've got to go. It's called Osteria Mozza, and there's an Italian restaurant right in the heart of Hollywood, and they have a raviolo, it's called, which is basically a definition for ravioli that has an egg and ricotta inside of it. And when you slice through the middle of the piece of ravioli, the egg oozes out of the center, and it is like the most delicious thing you've ever tasted. Not only that, they also have a cheese bar, so like if the pasta's not enough, they also have like this amazing mozzarella cheese. It's just like divine. And for me, if I'm going to go fancy, I want to splurge on stuff that I really enjoy. And not even fancy, bigger than gastronomic, all that sort of stuff. I'd rather go for homemade pastas and beautiful cheeses and things that just have delicious homemade taste, and that's where I would love to go the most.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the taste, you touch on something that's significant, and I think for some reason we have a rampant phobia of it in the U.S. for the most part, but egg yolk in general, people tend to shy away from, and it's striking to me, and admittedly, I wasn't always there, but when you get it and you get it done right, Loren, I mean, talk to me about that flavor. What is it that imparts? What does that bring across to you?
I love anything that feels like, it sounds so gross, but I mean it in an honest way, like when a flavor just explodes in your mouth and it tastes like something that reminds you of nostalgia or reminds you of your childhood or brings you to another part of your journeys or a place you've traveled on vacation. I just love really vibrant flavors, and that's what I'm always looking for. I'm looking for something that leaves a lasting impression. I think that there's a lot of really great food out there in the world, but to me, it's something that reminds me of either a time in my life. Like, I will always remember my grandmother's baking. Like, that's my favorite food in the entire world, where you remember things that make you think of something special and meaningful in your life.
Absolutely. I think there's nothing like an egg yolk. There's something like an egg yolk that touches the underside of your tongue, and it's a rich, hearty, unmistakable flavor that you don't get from a meat or a vegetable. It's just, it touches that area of your mouth, that umami.
Actually, just satisfying in general. Like, great deviled egg is amazing. Like, I just like anything that's associated with that world, because there's something, it's like the basic ingredient of comfort for me.
Definitely. And like you said, I heard the famous U word there, umami. And, you know, people can never quite get their head around it if they haven't been down that road. An egg yolk is a great place to start. It's not the be-all, end-all, but that's a damn fine place to start to begin to understand that sensation. You know, from a central PA point of view, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, and if you two are ever in and around the area, I'll mention one that you can still hit up. One that you can't, unfortunately, is Seasons on Main here in Bloomsburg. You know, it's a tough town, it's a tough business, and it finally got my dear friend Gary Vatican. But as far as the restaurant was concerned, he and Michael made this place beautiful, and there wasn't a dish on the menu that I would turn down, but Gary's Caesar salad, to be so simplistic with all the options that he had on his menu, but the Caesar that he made, a la minute, every time, it was so sexy, so garlicky, and just so, like, unapologetic that it's something that I almost mourn for day in, day out. Now, with that said, not everything's dead in the area. The Blind Pig Kitchen here in Bloomsburg on Iron Street recently had undergone a Kickstarter fund because they, too, were basically experiencing what a lot of high-end restaurants in this area do encounter. However, they seem to have come out of it, and they are a phenomenal example of how good farm-to-table can be. Their beef bulgogi that they make. Now, keep in mind, this is a farm-to-table, farm-driven restaurant, but the beef bulgogi, Brian, Loren, I swear to Christ, I've got 3 kids. I might go one down to just make sure that dish stays on the menu. I still have 2 at that point.
It's because we've sacrificed them. We used to have kids. And we sacrificed them for good meals.
Yeah, I mean, it is that freaking good, though. Honest to God, it's a spectacular example of how, you know, we can take a cuisine that is, say, Korean, for example, and bring it into a farm to table and make it be authentic. And finally, I've got to mention my dear friends, Justin and Dylan Naylor at Old Tioga Farm here in this area. Listen, getting a seat at this place is near impossible. Host of a podcast, I even admittedly used that to try to get in, and I was 2 months out. They're in Stillwater. They have seatings Friday and Saturday. They're prefix, and you go in, and the menu is what it is. But as far as Italian cuisine brought stateside, you will never taste something as just beautifully farm-spun as this is. So if you're ever thinking about coming to the area and you've got 3 months' notice, guys, let me know. I think I can get us a table. No guarantee. But check it out, oldtiogafarm.com. It is spectacular. Too many dishes, honestly, to go on about. But the handmade pastas, let's just use that as kind of a blanket statement, Loren. Going back to what you said about the egg yolk, you know, a handmade pasta, you're going to get that yolk feeling straight away. And the yellow, the deep, rich yellow of it. So there's that for the fancy hoitiest of toitiest, as Brian said. Let's shift gears and be a little sloppy for a minute. Fast food. Who doesn't love a good fast food here and there? I'm certainly in that group, and it looks like you two are as well. Loren, let's start with you. Any favorite fast foods from 2018?
I am only really into fast food in the dessert category, and most specifically a Wendy's Frosty. And it's one of those things, and I swear to God, if I get it in my craving, I will drive almost any distance until I find the closest Wendy's.
Now, what about a Frosty? What it speaks to you? Because if I'm talking dessert, I like a McDonald's sundae. And I'll tell you about my special request for that. But we didn't talk about this. But what about a Frosty speaks to you?
There's something about the consistency, and yes, I've read stories recently that there's like plastic
No,
inside of it.
no, that's not true. No, lost it. But you can turn them upside down. I don't think it makes come out. I don't think
there is just something so incredibly satisfying on a hot summer day. Chocolate Frosty, specifically chocolate, that it's funny, thinking about it now, I can imagine the texture, I know the swirl, I know the taste, I know the spoon that they give you. There is just something about it that really,
unique.
It really works for me, and really gives me that feeling of happiness on a day that you just need a little pick-me-up.
Yeah, a little pick-me-up. You're so decadent. But, I mean, ooh, you're so naughty. You make it sound like you're, like, breaking some sort of rule. We all, I don't know, understand that you don't eat any, like, burger? You don't go to a burger place?
The only other fast food that I really do like is the chicken sandwich at Burger King.
Oh my God, these are the most boring. Really? A chicken sandwich?
Don't you dare. Really? Don't you dare, Brian. You stand down, sir. Lauren, listen.
Yeah, the chicken sandwich at Burger King with the French fries is really satisfying.
Absolutely.
Okay, tell me, is it the fried, is it the breaded, or is it the broiled?
Growing up, I had...
No, answer the question.
No, I've answered it. Growing up, I liked the breaded, and I can still taste that right now, thinking about it. But I now actually prefer the grilled. I know that's boring.
Oh, that's so
boring.
See,
you lost me.
You go to a fast food restaurant, like, oh, the broiled chicken.
Yeah.
So judgy. You like fast food?
It's true. Because you don't go to, like, listen, if you're at the fast food restaurant already, like, I get it when you're, like, trying to be good, but the best of the stuff
is what?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I mean, like, I just have to say, like, I like a grilled chicken, a broiled chicken. I do, but not from a fast food restaurant.
Hell no. Yeah, that's not what you go to them for.
No, that's not why you're going. First of all, when I grew up,
Do you prefer the McDonald's salad?
Yeah, exactly. You do not go for any kind of, like, health benefits. If you're going for health benefits, just don't go. You know what I mean? Like, don't go. But I go,
Mr. Hotshot, what do you like? What do you prefer?
Oh, I'll tell you. Hang on. First of all, I grew up in a very Burger King family. They were like, no McDonald's, because my parents went to one McDonald's they didn't think was clean, and they were like, never again. And then I was like, and then
really kind of finger.
I said, wait, why are you like, literally, are you trying to get this place chewed? Like, you like won that, and they did not find a finger. Anyway.
Oh my God.
And this is about people who like to eat food. Can we not talk about appendages or, like, units, digits? Okay, so, I don't know what's worse, your grilled chicken sandwich or your finger in the chili. So anyway, my parents, then I had a McDonald's meal, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. I go to Pennsylvania on the weekend, and there's a McDonald's along the way. This particular McDonald's, I think sometimes the buns are a little dry. But I will say, this McDonald's, your buns are dry too. But that's what the word is on the street. But the McDonald's, I can't even. Hold on.
I'll just be over here, guys.
Okay, I know, you're right. We'll get to you. Hold on 1 second. I know it's your show. I do like a quarter pounder with cheese meal. But I also like the 2 cheeseburger meal. But here's the problem: when you go to the drive-thru of a McDonald's, I hate yelling out, "I'll have a large number 2." That's not something you want to. That's not like, yes, you will. Yes, you'll have one now, and you'll have one later.
What's your favorite fast food meal?
Oh God. December 18th, I have officially lost all control of anything. Jesus Christ, where do I even go from there? Like, I agree.
Sorry. People have already tuned out, so don't worry.
Yeah, that's fine. What do they care? They're just in it for the free bumper sticker or something. Fast food wise, I'm not too much of one. push comes to shove. I don't know that this qualifies as fast food. I would think so, because you can go through quickly. Here in Bloomsburg, there's a bagel shop, and they do a Taylor ham and cheese on and everything. That literally is the biggest booze mop you can have on any Saturday or Sunday morning ever. So Taylor ham and cheese, everything bagel, salt, pepper, ketchup. You're in, out, over in 5 minutes. You've got this thing in your stomach within the next 5 minutes. And
I love that.
You're regretting it the entire day long, because literally that 1,200 calories or so, I'm not sure, it sticks with you. Speaking of, getting an extra double large number 2, like, it's going to hurt you for a while. But, as far as fast food goes, to step away from the chains and whatnot, Bloomin' Bagel here in Bloomsburg, man, that Taylor ham and cheese on and everything, SPK, and down the hatch it goes, and Trouble City afterwards. So, there you go. That's mine.
It's so worth it, though. It's worth it.
Oh, it totally is, because then you can get up for round 2. And, as soon as 12:01 hits, when it's socially acceptable, start hitting it again. So, talk to me. Let's start with Brian here. We talked about fast food, which can be comfortable, but let's go a little bit more traditional comfort food. How about comfort food for you in 2018? What really would you curl up with?
Well, I love French fries and mac and cheese. Not together necessarily, but I just think of for me, actually, I will say for me, like growing up, fast food was comfort food. Like we didn't do that very often, and we didn't make comfort food at home much. But I do love French fries, and I do love like a mac and cheese, grilled cheese. Does that count as comfort food?
That totally does. Are you serious?
Grilled cheese comfort food? Yeah. I love a grilled cheese sandwich with a little tomato soup, but really I don't need the tomato soup. I just need like 2 pieces of white bread with a nice oozy cheese dripping off the side, nice buttery toasting on the outside, golden brown, just dripping with luxury.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
But I mean, the grilled cheese, there should be no question, whether or not that is comfort food. That is comfort food to the highest degree, I think. There's nothing nutritionally valuable about it per se, but goddamn if it is not perfect in every...
It is a perfect creation.
Absolutely. It literally is the definition of a Caucasian sandwich. I think if you step back from it, everything about it is white. Everything about it's white.
No, I never even thought of that.
There you go.
I do. Okay, no, wait. I've been monopolizing the comfort food category. Lauren, what is yours?
You know what I like, which I just really thought of, was, have you been to Islands and had their cheese fries?
What's Islands?
Is that Islands restaurant? Isn't that a national chain?
I don't know it.
What is Islands?
Well, it's so funny that I thought it was a national chain. There's this chain restaurant in California called Islands, which is like burgers and fries and stuff of that nature. But they have cheese fries that are literally the most comforting of all comfort foods you could possibly imagine. You get the ranch dressing.
Oh yeah.
It is truly heaven on earth. Crispy fried, dipped in ranch dressing.
Is that where you got your ranch dressing thing? Because you do that. Because now, Shawn, when you grew up, like when I grew up, dipping stuff in ranch dressing was not a thing. I mean, ranch dressing is amazing for like crudité, veggies.
Yep.
But we didn't dip French fries in it until later in life, and mostly because of you. But Shawn, did you grow up dipping fries in ranch?
I didn't. Let me tell you about the abusive household I grew up in. I was, my mother was into health food before it was cool, and so I suffered at the hands of that. I got introduced to the Hidden Valley Ranch powder, which I wasn't quite bumping lines of ranch off the counter, but I was close at one point because I just wanted that in my life. I wanted to be like that. So we didn't really have it. That's a natural
tendency, though.
Yeah. Who wouldn't, smearing it on their gums like crazy?
Wait, there's an interesting story about Hidden Valley Ranch. Do you know the story about Hidden Valley Ranch?
I don't, but I will in approximately 2 to 3 minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote The Tipping Point, he has a podcast. He also wrote about the story behind Hidden Valley Ranch, because there's a really kind of an interesting moral to the story. So the people that make Hidden Valley Ranch and invented it, like created that recipe, for years, a company tried to, the company that manufactures it now, the original recipe uses buttermilk and a lot of things that don't sit on a shelf very well. Like when you buy Hidden Valley Ranch right now, it's not even in the refrigerator case; it's on a salad dressing shelf.
Yeah.
So they were like so they had the original recipe, which was buttermilk and all of these very easily spoilable ingredients. And everything they tried to do to make it mass producible, they were like, it's just not as good. It doesn't even come close.
Right.
Well, eventually they were like, okay, we're going to put this on the market. They found like something that like close-ish, but they still didn't think it was going to work because it just wasn't close enough. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being such a hit because it was still absolutely delicious. And the moral is like sometimes you aren't going to get perfect, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't put it out there because a lot of people will never experience the original Hidden Valley Ranch. Yeah. But the thing that's like second or third closest to Hidden Valley Ranch is still damn good.
What the hell difference are they going to know?
You're waiting for, yeah. So if you're writing a book or you're writing a play or you're painting a painting and you're like, I'm not going to let anyone see this because it's not the perfect version of what I want it to be.
That's right.
You may just be holding yourself back because you're waiting for something that may not necessarily even be necessary or ever come. So put yourself out there and don't wait for perfection because people may still love it.
Look at that.
I'm very deep.
Look at that. You ready to have your mind?
Through salad dressing.
You ready to have your mind blown? My wife gave me a quote, and you're going to love this. Perfect is the enemy of good.
It's true.
It's so true, right?
You're right?
When I see my hair in the morning, I'm like, you know what? This hair is pretty perfect. It's the enemy of good hair.
That's right. That's right.
I know, I have terrible hair. And, therefore...
Yes. You have hair, Brian. You have hair. Come look at my hairline sometime. We'll talk. No, so as far as comfort food goes over here, you know, I actually probably come from more maybe the comfort side of things. You know, 3 kids, you're tucking into stuff like that quite a bit. I think probably the game that I love to play on a Friday night to really kind of settle in the family is an oven done wing. I do wings a lot. I like to buy them fresh and broil them.
Love chicken wings.
Yeah, and my wife got me an indoor smoker, and so I started doing them smoked as well. And let me tell you something: if you think your rings can't fit after wings, period, you should put some smoke in those wings and watch how not far down your finger that ring will go after that. But I think the wings, you know, wings in general, I don't know how many Quaker Steak and Lubes are across the nation. So here's an example of a chain comfort food, and we just went there because we went to see Santa, 3 kids, put them on the lap, blah, blah, blah. What do you want? Let's go. And we go over, and just wings in general, I think, are this quintessential, at least PA comfort food, if not tri-state area comfort food, if done right, I should say.
Yes. There's a wing place. We're both in Tennessee right now, and there's a place in Tennessee called Big Kahuna Wings.
Ooh.
And I am obsessed, and this is the first time in months that I have not done it.
You dragged me there last when you were here.
Well, that's a nice thing to say. I dragged you. like I had a gun to your head. Like I hit your head back and just shoved it and force fed you. But it's so good. It's so good. I'm so obsessed with it. And it's a dry rubbed wing, so it's not like a messy wing where you're gonna have like messy fingers. And they're boneless. Well, you can get boneless, yes, but there's also like regular wings. But you can get their dry rub in like regular seasoning and like fire seasoning, which isn't even that hot. Get it on BigKahunaWings.com or something. Like just Google Big Kahuna Wings, nice. And I buy their spice. I put it on my Thanksgiving turkey this year.
Yes.
It's not a buffalo flavor. It's its own just deliciousness. And I love a wing. I'll never get tired of wings.
I love a wing. I don't love licking my fingers afterwards. I don't like real messy food.
Is it that you don't like licking your fingers? Like, so like, do you eat ribs? Like beef ribs?
Oh.
I do, but I don't like sticky fingers.
He doesn't like, I will say sticky is one of the worst feelings in the world.
When there's like honey on the outside of a ketchup bottle or something like that, I don't like that.
Why would honey?
Why is there honey on a ketchup bottle, Loren?
They're not cleaning the bottle, Shawn. I don't know why.
Like, there's honey. Why would honey be on a ketchup?
I don't work in a restaurant.
I don't work in a restaurant. If there's one thing he encounters a lot, it's honey on ketchup bottles.
That's right.
He hates it.
Who knew?
You want to get to Loren? Send him your honey bottle. Sticky. I will say honey is very sticky and it's unpleasant. I don't like. Have you ever been stuck with sticky fingers and you just?
Oh, I hate being stuck with sticky fingers.
Oh my God!
I do too. It's really unpleasant. I did try and eat wings once with a knife and fork, and everyone thought I was nuts.
What?
Because I didn't want the stickiness.
Well, I was nuts.
You're nuts. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, if you're gonna go with the wing, you got to go all in. There's no pulling that fork and knife.
No,
BS.
I'm not gonna eat a wing with a knife and fork, but I did try to have the rib one.
Oh, the rib. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it though. Do you eat pizza or burgers with a knife and fork ever?
No, absolutely not. And I'll say this.
I feel like you're pausing because you're lying.
No. Don't you dare throw me under that bus, Brian. So here's the thing. When I was growing up, I did. And I started to experience the ridicule. And then I realized what a fat piece of garbage I can be. And I can actually eat a piece of pizza in 2 bites. So I'm like, why even bother?
So wait, did you change your behavior because of what other people thought of you?
I did. I'm weak.
We need to talk about this, Shawn. Because I will say, sometimes I'll eat a piece of pizza with a little bit of knife and fork. Because you know what?
No.
It's all about the experience of the food. No? Okay.
No. The only no. I should say the only time I think that's acceptable is if you're dealing with something that's more Sicilian in nature, where it requires the fork and knife. I think anytime you have to look like a boa constrictor downing a rat and you have to dislocate your jaw, you probably should bring in the fork and knife crew.
Yeah, I feel like it's about portion control. Yeah, it is about portion control.
I have no idea what that is.
Portion moderation. Yeah. I feel like there's some, I feel like, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I use a knife and fork. I'm not going to apologize. This is the year 2018.
Yeah.
Almost 2019.
Yeah.
I don't know when this is running. But we're in the 21st century. And if you want to use a knife and fork, you go nuts.
You do it. You heard it here, folks. Brian said, you want to use it, you do it.
Yeah. Right, you be you.
Yeah.
Grab that fork and fork away.
Fork away, he says. So let's transition into favorite pizza then. That's not awkward at all.
Favorite pizza, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
So again, I think coming from more the New York side of things, Brian, I got to go to you. What do you got?
Okay. I will say the best. There was actually a recent New York Times article said the best pizza in New York is in New Jersey, because it is. Hoboken, New Jersey is a huge Italian community. Has a huge Italian community. I'm sorry, birthplace of Frank Sinatra. Don't roll your eyes, Loren. Loren Ruch just rolled his eyes, went right to the back of his head. Well, I will tell you, there's a place in Hoboken called Benny Tadino's, home of the largest slice, and it is perfection. You can eat it with whatever you want. Use a knife, use a fork, fold it in half. These people that fold their pizza, I'm not going to judge because it's that delicious. I will say the sauce is a perfect blend of savory and sweet, just a little touch of sweet. And the key to, if you're making pizza at home, is to not oversauce.
Yes.
Don't oversauce.
Yes.
A lot of people oversauce their pizza at home. Then it makes the crust a little soggy. This is a lesson. Learn this lesson today. If there's one thing you walk away with today from the Coarse Grind podcast, is that don't oversauce your homemade pizza.
You don't want it to sag, man. You don't want it to sag. It's gonna look like
sagging is always frowned upon.
Sagging is always frowned upon.
Yeah.
Too true.
So that's my favorite pizza. Just a perfect blend of cheese, perfect amount of spices. And I will say I like a plain cheese pizza. The thing I don't like about pepperoni, and I know, Loren, you don't eat pepperoni, but sometimes it oozes too much greasiness. So I like a non-greasy pizza. But I will say, and people like to turn their nose up at the Hawaiian pizza. I like myself some Hawaiian pizza. Loren's the judger. He's judging me. He doesn't like a Hawaiian pizza.
I'm judging. You can't see it, Brian. I'm judging.
I'm not sure there's any actual authentic Hawaiianness to a Hawaiian slice of pizza, but pineapple and ham on a pizza is something. It's a perfect combination of salty and sweet. Good one.
I want to go on record as saying I did respect you before that answer, Brian. I really did. And I really want to embrace that.
You respected me during my McDonald's conversation? That's I don't know. That's
more than the Hawaiian pizza ever possibly could have. Oh. I've tried, and let me go on record as saying it's not because I haven't tried it. There's just something about the texture of pineapple on the pizza. I think that's what it is. I think it's textural. I'm not sure. What was that?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, see? There you go. Lauren's with me. Lauren, what's your favorite, man?
Okay, the best pizza, you've got to try this. When we were kids, we had relatives, and we still do have relatives in Chicago. And every time we go to Chicago, we go to Lou Malnati's Pizza. It's a deep dish Chicago pizza, a little bit sweet in the dough, with chunks of tomato and tomato sauce. It is the most delicious meal you could ever possibly imagine.
Deep dish?
It's deep dish. I love it in crust pizza too. I know that that's the way pizza is quote unquote supposed to be done. But there was something about this pizza that I would take one home with me. I would travel with it on a plane. It's that.
Travel on a plane? You're crazy. Lauren, you're just crazy.
I'm crazy. What can I say? I travel with pizza.
He's got pieces shoved in his pocket. Oh, yeah. Going through TSA, they're patting him down.
Look at her over here. Bringing a pizza on the plane.
That's right. Look at Mr. Pizza on the plane.
Delicious.
Damn straight.
Growing up, did you speak Numero Uno on the East Coast?
Pizzeria Uno?
Oh, I was just saying Numero Uno. I think it's probably part of the same chain. It's the same kind of vibe of just like that delicious pizza, yummy pizza.
Yeah. There's something, although I'll go on record too as saying, deep dish, I think should be in a totally different category. I think it should be more casserole based as opposed to pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's just me.
That makes sense.
I mean, honestly,
I also love, I agree with you. I also love like a really super thin crust, delicious pizza that's almost like a tiny bit burnt on the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
But they're both two very different experiences.
I do like a wood-fired pizza.
Yes.
There's a wood-fired pizza place down here. What's it called? It's good, but it's wood-fired. Love a little bit of char.
Yes.
It's a nice char on the crust. I love that.
And I was just going to say, that's where you get into that char, that thin. Now, listen, if you're going to ever sag, let it be in a wood-fired. Let it be because of that little jus of grease and sauce. And let it just drop just a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see total like pizza ED at this point. But, I don't want a full on, it basically doesn't need to hold a plank for me. Put it that way. It can droop a little bit.
Agreed.
You're in good shape.
I like your radical thoughts about saggy pizza.
I do what I can.
You're not afraid to take a stand.
You should hear my shit about fish and dairy. I have an absolute stance there. The Filet-O-Fish is Satan's toolbox.
Wow.
Terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you put dairy in with fish? Have you ever seen a cow in water? No, I haven't. The end. We're done.
Interesting. Oh, interesting. Yeah, okay.
You're never supposed to mix the two. I agree.
My tattoo artist was forced to listen to that for a good solid 40 minutes, and I apologize to him. Pat, if you're listening, I know you probably are. I apologize. Sorry about the Filet-O-Fish rant, but it's something I can't stand. So, speaking of sandwiches, let's go to burgers. Burgers, they could be both homegrown, they could be restaurant bought. Where are you looking for the best burger, period? 2018.
Okay, well, wait, Lauren, you should talk about your beef burger preferences, and then I'm going to talk about mine.
I love making hamburgers actually at home. It's like one of the few things that I'm actually quite confident in the way that I cook, and so I think that is something that I enjoy doing, and I have a little secret recipe where I use the meat, obviously, but then matzo meal, and I'm familiar with what that is.
What?
It's egg yolk and chopped onion.
Yeah.
And you put it all together, and it creates like the perfect burger. It's like a nice, thick type of burger, and it's really like juicy and delicious, and I just think it's super satisfying. It works with turkey burgers as well. Like, I love a good homemade hamburger.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, yeah, and I'm also a fan. Like, for some reason, for me, I can't do a restaurant burger. I haven't been able to do it now for easily 2-3 years. I cannot do it because now I bought this is a while back actually. Hubert Keller's Burger Bar Cookbook, and since I've been making my own and actually grinding my own, mixing it up with a sirloin as opposed to a ribeye, as opposed to that. I have made some.
Wow! And what do you put in with it, or is it just the meat? Do you put anything else in there with it?
I don't play, but we mix up, say, a sirloin and a ribeye. The one thing we did, and this will always, so we live here again in central PA. However, Henry Hynoski for the New York Giants, who had just won his Super Bowl ring, ate at our house, and it was amazing because we had New York strip stuffed burgers. And so we ground up the base for it, and then we took rendered bacon, ground up New York strip, and stuffed in along with some cheese into the middle, so it was very Juicy Lucy style. One of the greatest burgers I've ever had in my life. I think the Juicy Lucy approach is so underutilized, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if people are afraid of it, if it's too much work. But listen, take a little extra effort, grind your own stuff, get a grinder attachment for whatever mixer you have in your kitchen you're not using. Use it for this. You won't be disappointed.
I like it, yeah.
And then,
I like the expression "juicy woosy." Loren has a pair of sweatpants that says that on the back. Don't you, Loren?
I do. I totally agree with you. Like the homemade burger tends to almost always be better. The one place that I've been to where it compares, have you been to the Spotted Pig by any chance in New York? Because it's the best burger. There's something about it that is like exceptional and tasty. I think that they turn their own steak into burgers. It's ridiculously priced. I think it's $21, something like that. But if you're going to ever indulge in a burger at a restaurant, that's the place I would recommend.
but here's the thing. You know, you go to the Spotted Pig, you get this $21 burger. Like, you're not getting the burger as an appetizer. If you're getting it as the meal, there you go. Like, that's. I don't think that's overpriced for a burger if you're going to pay $38, $45 for a steak. You know, essentially, you should be eating steak as burger. So that doesn't, I wouldn't bat an eye at that. And if you're coming to me, Loren, and saying, go to the Spotted Pig, get this $21 burger, I'm on that. And I'm sure it's delicious.
I think you would enjoy it. And it's part of the experience and the seasoning and the flavors. It doesn't feel like it's something that was like flopped together. It feels like something that was made with love. So I like that.
Or, now, I'm going to get radical here on you. I have a new obsession with the Impossible Burger. Do you know about the Impossible Burger? Are you a hater of the Impossible Burger?
I literally just face-palmed a little bit, and I'm going to let you handle the rest from here, Brian. Go ahead.
Why? Because it's got no meat in it. Is that the problem?
It's a burger, Brian!
Have you tried it?
I haven't tried it. I'll admit that. I haven't tried it.
Okay.
Sell me.
I feel
Talk
like
to me.
Don't judge.
Okay.
There's a lot of things in life that we don't know we like until we try it, right? Okay, so that sounds so weird. It sounds creepy. I just got creepy.
You did a little bit. You got a little creepy uncle there.
Juicy woosy over here. Freaked out. Okay, so it is a vegetarian burger, but here's the thing. It tastes so much like meat, and it actually, when you cook it, it actually bleeds a little, and it's a weird, it's like, you know when you, okay, now that sounds weird. It's a plant-based patty, and it bleeds and it sizzles when it cooks. It's not actually bleeding blood, but it uses an ingredient called heme, and that's like, heme rhymes with meme.
You're literally going to find a bunch of starving vegans the morning after this airs. They're going to be like, Brian said vegetables bleed.
Hear me out.
Okay, all right.
It's this iron, it's the same compound that's abundant in animal muscle, but it's also a compound that is found in plants. And so this company that is called Impossible Burger, they manufacture this meat, and restaurants all over the country use this, quote unquote meat. So you can't just go buy Impossible Burger meat in the store. You have to get it at an approved restaurant that sells this. Only certain restaurants can call it Impossible Burger. It's so good. In New York, I get it at Catch. I get it at Creamline. You can get it at Soho House. So you can get it at places that are like walk-up fast food. You can get it at fancy places. It's that good. So
really?
It's my biggest obsession.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, team rhymes with meme.
All right. I honestly, my wife got me into trying different veggie burgers. They're not my thing. I would try that. I would try that based on your recommendation alone,
I think
Brian.
you owe it to yourself. And frankly, you owe it to me, Sean.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Stop it. Hey, speaking of meat, kids, let's talk about steak.
Talk about steak.
Getting it back to...
Let's talk about steak, baby. Yeah.
Let's talk about... Brian, let's bring you back from the vegan end of the pool here.
Yes.
Talk to me about your best steak, 2018.
Filet mignon.
No question, no hesitation.
I
Filet mignon.
Some people like bone-in. I do like a nice, tender filet mignon. 8 to 10 ounces, 8 ounces. Actually, just like a nice, manageable portion. Medium. I don't like them too bloody. I just like them medium. Medium to medium rare, a little bit leaning closer to medium.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and that's it. And it is so delicious, so tender. Just grilled yourself, grilled at a restaurant, doesn't matter. That's my choice.
See, I love that.
Go-to choice.
I love that. I love the fact that you're leaning on the basic S&P, nothing more. Because I think so often societally, we tend to overdo. Here's this rub made from coffee grounds, children's toenails and angel wings. Like, here, enjoy it.
I do like a marinade in a child's tears.
Yes.
That's often hard to find.
Exactly.
So.
Most of my meals are made in that. I don't want to eat.
They have the right salinity.
Put that salt and pepper, so you're already covered.
Child's tears.
Child's tears. Baby tears. Loren, what do you got, buddy?
My favorite steak in the entire world is skirt steak. And I know it's not the fanciest cut, but a thin skirt steak grilled with a little bit of onion sauce, garlic salt, and Lowry seasoning salt is the most tasty, specifically summer night treat.
Yeah.
Add a little guacamole on the side, pico de gallo, maybe a tortilla, and there's nothing more satisfying than that. I love making skirt steak.
I'm not a skirt steak fan. To me, that's like a step above steak.
Wow! Ooh, wow! The guy comes from a vegetable burger and now is trashing skirt steak? How is that happening?
I'm teasing. I just like it.
Loren, I should have you on alone. Too. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. We appreciate each other, but Brian has something else to say.
No, I'm just teasing. I am not. It might be just jealousy because he's never made this steak for me. Maybe.
Oh, there it is.
There's something like I love it, like a scrappy, almost like a street food type of meal. I really do, and I think this steak, when done the right way, and just maybe with a little bit of lime on it, or it's just delicious.
Oh, I love cilantro. You had me there.
Ah, there we go. We're finding commonalities here. We're doing well.
The other steak I like is, I don't know if it's actually considered a steak or not, but it's brisket. And I don't know if that fits into that category or not. Is it? Okay, my mom's brisket recipe, which has ketchup, it has onions, and it has sherry wine, and you cook it in a bag in the oven, and it melts in your mouth. And you have it with a side of mashed potatoes, and there's literally nothing that tastes better. The leftovers the next day might be the only thing that tastes better than you have it all the time.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Brisket, again, it kind of gets into the work-based mentality when it comes to food. People want quick and easy. Brisket is neither. It is not. It is an unforgiving SOB of a cut of meat. But if you take the time, I did a 10-hour brisket this past summer.
Wow.
But it takes that. And, I mean, it took changing out the wood chips 3 separate times to keep the smoke going. Once you got that, you got that smoke ring. You got the nice pink ring and the nice, cooked interior. But it was absolutely beautiful. And then when we had, because I got it here at, local grocery store, and they really most times don't know what the hell to do with it. And it was like this big 12-pound cut. And so I took half of it, ground it up, tossed it with a homemade barbecue sauce. Then you had pulled pork, beef brisket barbecue to serve over rolls, pickled onion, slaw, that kind of thing. So it's really versatile, but you have to be willing to put the time into it to really have it be anything at the end of the process. Otherwise, you're gagging on these tendrils that are too chewy. But that's, it's a muscular piece, and it's got to be broken down appropriately.
For when it is, nothing better.
You know what? I think a lot of people could be broken down appropriately. So, I think it's a metaphor.
I'm just going to let the crickets check. I literally had a Guantanamo Bay line there, and I'm just going to sidestep it. So that's totally not even worth going down that hallway.
In case you haven't noticed, we're a little bit about the silliness and laughing.
No, not at all. I love it. Love it to death. Love it to death. So last category, best dish you made at home this year. Start with Loren.
Oh gosh. I mean, I always have that turkey steak, which is like my biggest favorite dish. So I think that would be probably my favorite thing that I sort of regularly. Most every time we come over and get indulged in that. I think that's something that's really good. The other thing I love making homemade spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah.
Just so satisfying and comfort foody and delicious and tasty and makes good leftovers. And so I would think that between my skirt steak and spaghetti meatballs, those would be my number one and two.
Yeah, and see, that's an important thing to hit on, and it's the leftover factor. Like, if you go out to a restaurant and you leave what you leave there on the table, it doesn't really bug you that much. But when you make it at home, don't you always want to have the next couple days covered?
I love the next couple days covered. I also love turning almost anything into an omelet the next day. That's like the other thing I really like to do. So, like, if we make Indian food or have Indian food, to then mix the sauce in here with your scrambled eggs the next day, it's like the best thing ever.
Hell yes.
You got rice to it. It's just so much fun to create a breakfast out of a dinner.
Yes, I totally agree. There are nights where my wife is, here and there rocking the whole 30 because, first of all, I mean, the recipes are pretty good. They're healthier than we typically consume, and so we go with it. And sometimes when we go straight protein, we're looking at something that's like, steak, shrimp, scallops. Well, the next day, get out of the way. Take some of that, throw it in a mix. You have literally the most expensive omelet. You might as well be putting gold leaf into the mix. Like you said, Loren, there's nothing more satisfying than to put the night before into the morning of and just let it just relive its beautiful life.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, how about you?
Well, I will say Loren did inspire my thinking of bolognese. I don't make it well, but my partner makes it amazingly well. But my favorite thing to make at home is a recipe everyone can make because it's available online. Ina Garten makes this perfect, and I think she even calls it perfect roast chicken recipe. And it is basically just roasted chicken and roasted right on top of a bed of chopped up fennel, which you may not like it when you first taste it, but when you roast it, it just becomes sweet and caramelized, and it's just fantastic. So it's on a bed of chopped up fennel and onion and carrot, and it's got thyme sprinkled all over it and inside it, and lemon, and it always comes out perfect. For those of you anyone who has not tried an Ina Garten recipe, this is the first one you should try.
Yes.
And it will make you a fan, and you will end up buying every single one of Ina Garten's cookbooks.
And the second one you should try is her chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally agree on both fronts.
You cannot go wrong. I will say she is one of the few chefs that I have tried every single recipe I've tried of theirs has always been amazing and delicious. And if there's one chef or one food expert that I would recommend you buy every one of their cookbooks, it would be Ina Garten.
No question. And honestly, I've interviewed a handful of them. Ina Garten, I have not yet. I'd love to work on that, but I will say every single thing that she has ever put out there is spectacular. The only other parallel that I would even make to that like 100% success rate is probably America's Test Kitchen and Chris Kimball. I've never had a bad experience with anything out of that book. Chris was kind enough to do the show a while back, and it was, it was humbling. It was honestly like meeting a culinary Superman. And, that book, and honestly, if you go online, the crazy thing about that cookbook, Ina's got this series of cookbooks, and they're all $25, $30, whatever. The America's Test Kitchen cookbook is like $19.99 for every single recipe from every single episode ever. So
wow.
I don't know how far out we are from Christmas. 7 days. So I don't know. Maybe you can get it still, but this will air like, near New Year's. So there you go. It's a New Year's gift. Run with that. But Ina Garten's perfect roast chicken is spot on. I've never had a better chicken myself either. That's up there. The chocolate cake as well. Dishes we make at home here, I would say actually, and I wish my 11-year-old was up to answer this because he would emphatically say our green pozole with shrimp. It is spectacular. I'll flash fry some fresh flour tortillas and, get a little crispy chip in the action. But, I mean, if you want to talk about a soul-warming tribute to culinary culture, green pozole with shrimp. If you're interested, message the show. I'll share the recipe with you. It is spectacular. It is to die for. That's probably the best thing that we're making at home right now. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it does not stink in the slightest. So yeah, I think that just about covers 2018, guys. Any other big hits you want to lay out there? Any other institutions you want to give a plug for?
No, we're just happy that you had us tonight. We had a wonderful time. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, and Brian, I know you and I have spoken a lot. Lauren, this is the first we're meeting. So glad to meet you. So glad to connect with you. It's such a great thing when, you have this hometown in common, and then, Brian, obviously you're all over the place, and you're cool enough to just come back on and do the show and bring Lauren this time. So, here's hoping that we do this again soon.
Love it.
Thank you
so much for having us.
Yeah, right on. No problem. And again, folks, Mindless Chatter on Facebook, the Book of Face. You can also find Brian Balthazar and Loren Ruch, Ruch, on the Book of Face. You can also find them on Instagram at Brian Balthazar and at Loren Ruch. So yeah, be sure to check them out. And again, bring the ibuprofen, because your sides are going to be hurting if you catch them online live, because they are spectacular, hysterical, and it's an honor to have had you on, guys. So thanks again.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
You got it. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and all that, ladies and gentlemen. This has been episode number 91 of the Coarse Ground Podcast. With me this evening, the hosts of Mindless Chatter on Facebook, Brian Balthazar and Loren Ruch. Our producer this evening has been the voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out all his libertarian, erotica, and sci-fi things happening in Honesdale 18431. Next episode will be number 92. Stay tuned.
Retour aux sources pour se